Good morning, Ugly Mug Marketing friends and followers. Welcome to another edition of Ugly Mug Marketing Coffee Chats, a live show where we drink coffee and talk about marketing, leadership, business, and everything in between. My name is Hannah Balia, and I am the Director of Communications and Teaching at Ugly Mug. And today I'm thrilled to have Christy Pennison as our guest today. Christy is a board-certified counselor, a seven-figure business-building entrepreneur, host of the Inspiring Possible podcast. So she knows what she's doing on the show today, y'all. She is the co-owner of Practice Collab, which is a business that supports group therapy practice owners, and the founder of Be Inspired Counseling and Consulting, which is a multi-location therapy practice in Central Louisiana. She has coached and advised dozens of leaders, mental health professionals, and business owners from across the country to help them grow through the many challenges they face. And due to her knowledge of leadership, she is recognized by other professionals in her field. And as a result, she was awarded the 20 Under 40 Acadiana Leadership Award and named the 2024 Central Louisiana Remarkable Women of the Year. So stinking cool. In addition, she has been a guest on the Montel Williams podcast, Free Thinking, and her expertise has been regularly featured in articles on NBC Today and many other media outlets and publications. She is passionate about empowering mental health professionals and individuals in leadership to live with confidence, conviction, and limitless belief that anything is possible. Christy, amazing bio, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for that amazing. Who is that person? Anyways, but I'm really excited to be here and hopefully share some knowledge and insights and encouragement for my entrepreneurial friends that are out there that may find themselves struggling. So I'm excited to dive in.
Yes, me too. Let's start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself. I would love, because you're an entrepreneur yourself. So tell us a little bit maybe about your journey of entrepreneurship.
Oh my gosh. So this is really funny, but I feel like I'm the least likely person to have become an entrepreneur and also least likely person to become a therapist. It's funny. I probably don't have time to tell the whole story, but both of those are areas that I never thought I'd ever find myself in. So when I was younger, I never thought I'd become a therapist. And then when I became a therapist and took that career path for a little bit over a decade, I never really realized that I would ever be doing my own thing. And part of that is because I am a single mama, solo parent, and of a teenage daughter now. But at the time, I just thought like, okay, I need a sustainable income. I need limited risk. I need health insurance. So I could have never imagined that where I would be today is where I landed. But it's been an incredible journey because I think there was a lot of things that I didn't realize or skills I had developed throughout the years that would really then be able to be transferable into creating and then also expanding and scaling a business. So, I'm sure like most entrepreneurs, some people are like what I call accidental entrepreneurs. And I feel like that was I kind of backed into it. And then some people, they know when maybe they were raised with somebody in their family who had a business or who was entrepreneurial, and they like just saw that from the time that they were, born, really.
Yeah.
And that is just something that comes very natural to them. But I think we all have our stories of, how we get into things and why we land there. But yeah, that's a little bit about how I got there. But I actually decided to move back home. I'm originally from the Central Louisiana area, but I was living in a different city. And one day I just came back and said, you know what, for visiting family, I think that there may be a need for more mental health services here. Just from that one idea of deep diving into research, and for entrepreneurs listening, you have that idea and then you deep dive into it and what's possible and what's not. And then I just said, okay, let's do it. And I didn't have a backup plan, and it all worked out.
Yeah, I love that. Didn't have a backup plan. I read something recently. It was like plan B is like plan A's scapegoat anyway. So it's like, you know what, if that is what the need that you saw and the calling that you had in that moment and just running with it, I really admire that a whole bunch, because it's risky. And like you said, like single mom, like hustling, and you're like, I need health insurance, I need stability, but then having that calling and willing to take that risk and believing in yourself. I mean, that is massive. And look at where it's got you today, right? And
Well,
so many, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, you don't know what you don't know. So I think there was a little bit
Totally.
of ignorance in there that really helped me. Like if you knew all you knew now, then sometimes you're like, oh, would I would have still, but you just go for it.
Very true. And I feel like entrepreneurs sometimes it's like they do that deep dive, right? They're just like have that calling or they have that idea like you said and they just go for it. And like you just said too, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the challenges that are coming and you don't understand, maybe you're really passionate about that thing but you don't understand the business side of it, right? I'd imagine that would be really true for you in counseling. It's like, okay, yeah, I know how to be a counselor but maybe I don't know how to have my own practice and like do all of those back end like business things, right? Or having a team and managing people. And I just feel like there are so many different challenges that entrepreneurs face. And so it's like, how do we take care of our like mental health as an entrepreneur in the midst of like facing all those challenges and navigating all of the different things?
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurs really, I mean, I love my entrepreneur friends. I love my everybody. I love people that are on my team, whatever. But I
Yeah.
will say that entrepreneurs do have some unique challenges that other people that are not entrepreneurs do face,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of risk. There is sometimes a lot of uncertainty. I find that a lot of times it can be very lonely because as you
Mm.
start to learn things or you start to build a team around you, especially if you're not just a solo, you decide to kind of branch out and you're growing a team and building and scaling. I mean, there is a lot of things that you have to be able to, I hate to say withstand, but like
Yeah.
withstand is really the word. Like you have to be able to tolerate risks very well. You have to be able to be willing to learn. You have to be able to do uncomfortable things. And you have to typically do that. I'm not saying that you can't build a team around you that could be supportive of you, but there's still things that you have to make decisions about that maybe your team can weigh in on, but you're ultimately responsible for. I think about myself, as the business has grown, I think about all the livelihoods that I'm responsible for, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
although everybody contributes to making that a reality, there's a lot of just kind of that responsibility, I think, that weighs on a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners who many I've found that I've talked to care very deeply and they take that responsibility not lightly,
Yeah.
that they have this responsibility for other people. And so I think with that comes a lot of overwhelm, especially
Yeah.
like you said. I mean, I didn't get an MBA. I got my education was in counseling and to become a therapist, and I knew how to do that. I think pretty well. I was still learning. I could still learn a lot and still not have arrived, but I didn't really know anything about business. And so you might be a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs sometimes can be really good. I call technicians where they have learned how to do a trade or something like that. And then
Yeah.
they decide to branch out and say, okay, well, now I want to build this business. And then that's a whole nother skill set that they have to learn and develop, from managing people to managing
Yeah.
finances to figuring out how I'm going to make this happen. Because they're really sometimes, to be honest, we're making stuff up as we go. As we're building and growing and making something that's really was out of nothing. We really think about it like it was not there before, and now it is. And so
Yeah.
I just find that for a lot of entrepreneurs, that can be a very overwhelming, isolating, lonely journey, but it can have a lot of good things too. That can be a upswing, but if you're in that kind of more of the challenges side of things, it can be really taxing on your mental health.
Yeah. Do you feel like in your personal journey of entrepreneurship, do you feel like it was more lonely right at the beginning, or was it really like exciting at that time and you were like really energized by the work and then it got lonely? Like, I've just heard from so many entrepreneurs that we work with, whether they're solopreneurs and they're still hustling and this is their side gig, right? Or they have this dream that they're kind of going after, or people that have been at it for years. Like, I've just consistently heard it's lonely at the top. Like, it's
Yeah.
lonely when you are the boss of yourself or when you are responsible, like you said, for this team of people that you're trying to grow and lead and foster that those relationships and that work environment, like it's just lonely. Like, did you feel that loneliness setting in early on in your journey, or was it later?
You know what? I think it's at all stages, but I can specifically remember about month 3, and I'll just be completely honest. Like, I opened the doors, I was like living off of savings and a prayer, and I'm like, this is going to work, I believe.
Yeah.
And at month 3, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm about to climb the walls because I'm pretty extroverted by nature. My personality
Yeah.
really likes people, which is, I'd hope so if I became a therapist, you work with people, right? But so I just found myself really climbing the walls. And I will tell you, there was one thing that I did that I think has been very supportive of my mental health from that point is I did find community of other people that were trying to
Mm,
do the same thing as I was.
yeah.
So at that month 3, it was out of that kind of loneliness that I'm like, I can't do this by myself. And I know I'm not ready to hire people. I mean, it wasn't until probably like a year end that I started adding people to the team and it was no longer just me. But when you start out, sometimes it is just you answering the phones,
Yeah.
I'm a service-based industry. So, doing everything from start to finish. And that can be lonely because there's other people in your life who could be very well meaning, but they're not having the same experience as you. So they don't always understand
Yeah.
the maybe challenges that you are facing because they're maybe doing something completely different. So I think that's where that loneliness comes into is because there's certain things about your business that you really just can't share with just anybody, right?
Yeah.
That you want to be protective of your team or your processes or the way that you do things or where things are at in the business. And so if you're not finding a supportive community, I think that can be really it can be a very lonely journey. Yes.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand. They're like, well, like I remember when I started doing this, nobody thought some people in my life, they loved me, but they thought I had just lost it. They're like, you need to get a job. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is be my job, So there is some realities that are very hard, whether it's at the beginning when you're just starting out and you maybe don't have people that you can consult with about how to do this thing
Yeah.
that you're trying to do. But then I think as you grow your team, you can feel very supported. And I'm very fortunate that I have an amazing like leadership team and people that are supportive of me now. But I also have to have that outside support as well that can kind of
Definitely.
they know some of the challenges that come with leadership and also carrying the kind of responsibility of a business.
Yeah. I love that you bring up it's like they might not understand. They're supportive of you and they love you, but they don't understand the thing that you're actually doing. I remember I was interviewing Wayne, our owner and founder of Ugly Mug, and he was telling me that you have to be careful in some of those situations because are you getting someone's opinion or are you getting their advice? There's a difference, right? If
Mhm.
somebody actually has been through exactly what you're going through, or they're in the same, boat or industry or whatever it may be, like that's advice. But someone who is not in that, someone who just loves you and cares about you, but has no idea, has never opened a counseling business before, in your example, has never been a counselor, has never, gone and gotten their MBA, whatever it may be, like that's just their opinion, right? And so you kind of have to be careful in navigating those, but that's a totally different topic. I want to touch on
Yeah.
this idea and come back to this feeling of overwhelm and this stress and this heaviness. And at times, I mean, we don't want to call it a burden, I'm sure, but like the burden that entrepreneurs carry, like they've got the team on their back, right? Like they've got all of this responsibility. What factors really come into play, do you feel like at any stage for entrepreneurs? Like what really plays into that overwhelm and that stress?
Well, I mean, I think we just talked about one is that you might have the lack of space or support. And so I
Yep.
think if you're not intentional about
Yep.
getting with supportive people, and these are hard to find, you have to go find them that maybe are in your industry or that can be hold a safe space for you to talk about the challenges that you might have. Then that can contribute to overwhelm because you feel very like you're the only one that has this, that
Yeah.
can make these decisions when there actually can be people that are either in a similar industry or I've even actually been in cohorts of people with that are multi-industry. So they're business owners that come together. I mean, there's even like local resources. There's the sometimes SBA offers things,
Yeah.
but where you're in a cohort of people with other industry people, that it's a confidential space to discuss challenges that you have a business as a business owner. So I think number one, the factors that contribute to overwhelm is that lack of space or support that they might
Yeah.
experience. I do think another thing that contributes is sometimes just managing all the things. And if you have a struggle with either, I'm just going to be honest with this, trusting or delegating, then you
Yeah.
can be carrying a lot of stuff. And you may not have an opportunity to delegate if you're really early on stages, but like if you have struggle with trusting and delegating the people on your team, then you can be carrying more than you should. Okay. And
Yeah.
it's like a boulder. I mean, we think about it as we put things on our back and we're trying to carry it down the road. If we don't get people to help us unload in some of those responsibilities and those burdens, then it will be very daunting. On the flip side of that is if you can find ways to delegate and slowly as your business grows, be able to let go. This is a hard thing,
Yeah.
but let go of some of these things, then it actually can be very rewarding. So there's an upside to mental health, I think, in entrepreneurship too, that when you do get to a place where you can offload, feel supported, you can run in more of that visionary role in your business, but also integrate a little bit, but still give
Yeah.
people that ability, then it can feel actually very good and very freeing. You could have time freedom, all the fun stuff that comes with that. But you have to get to that place where you're able to let go. And a lot of people carry a lot of that. Or when they find somebody that's not doing it, the thing that they gave them, they'll pick it back up, which then leads to a lot of that overwhelm. And I also think another thing is for entrepreneurs as a time factor, there might seem that there's never enough time to get
Mhm.
everything done. And
Yeah.
so if they don't have really, if they struggle with boundaries on their time, which listen, when I'm saying all of these things, it's all stuff that I've done. So there's no judgment or shame in any of this I'm talking about. But if you don't set good boundaries on your time, or you don't set good
Mm.
boundaries about life versus what I'm doing in the business, because I have found that entrepreneurs could think about this business and work on it probably 24 hours a day. Okay. And if you
Yeah.
love the business that you're in, then it could be even like longer. So you have to set boundaries around your time. If not, then it can creep in and invade other areas.
Yeah.
And then I think financial stress sometimes when there's unexpected things in business. I mean, where there's
Yeah.
either we're not getting as much work as we used to, or we've had a dip in revenue, or we still have all these expenses we have to cover. There's a lot of financial stress. And then I also think I go back to the responsibility for employees. I think a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met, most of them, I'm not going to say maybe all, but pretty much everybody I've met, they really care deeply for their teams,
Yes.
and they really, that maybe will keep them up at night if there's some struggle or strain in
Mm.
those financial resources, that or if they have to make hard decisions like letting people go or things like that, like that can all contribute to overwhelm and stress. And there's probably a thousand other things I can think of, but those are the things that
Yeah.
come to the top of my head.
I love those. I love those buckets because I think even so, there are other things like you just said. There's a million other things that could maybe fit into those things that fit under the financial bucket or fit under community or boundaries and relationships in that way. Like the list could go on and on, but I'd imagine that as you're sitting in cohorts yourself as an entrepreneur or as you're maybe providing services to entrepreneurs, those are obviously the things that come up the most. And I think to me, like from an outsider kind of looking in and being in a small business where we have an entrepreneur leading us and our team, like that financial stress and the people and the burden of that, I feel like those are so taxing. Like those feel like the heaviest, like from my perspective. I myself am not an entrepreneur, but just like being on that team, I'm like, ooh, like I'm like, Wayne is probably losing sleep over this, right? Or if I'm like looking at like my clients and they're venting to me about a situation, that they have going on with an employee, and they've never had to let anybody go before, and they're trying to navigate that. Like, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, yeah, y'all don't have an HR department. You can't just delegate. You're not in a season right now. Just be able to delegate that to somebody else. Like, this is like really, really weighing on you. And in some ways, I'm like, I wish I could help you, navigate that
Yeah.
and figure out how to handle that particular situation, but how to just handle this overarching feeling of overwhelm and of
Mhm.
stress. And so, what are some strategies that, we can have in place as entrepreneurs for managing that overwhelm, whether it's short term or long term? Like, what can we do to help manage the stress a little bit better?
Well, I think for starters, you have to be intentional about, I'm just going to say this, but setting goals for yourself that's outside of your business. Okay. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is setting intentional time to put time in your schedule to take care of yourself, and put time in your schedule to be able to think about your business to solve some of these problems that might be keeping you up at night. I think a lot of times I've seen entrepreneurs get so much into the doing that they feel like they can't
Mhm.
take a break, they can't stop. They just have to keep it pushing down. They have to keep on pushing the boulder up the mountain. They can't take a break because if they
Yeah.
don't push the boulder up the mountain, it's going to roll back on them. And while
Yeah.
although I do think that that's sometimes a very true reality, I do think that the only way to escape that feeling of overwhelm and stress, and this is honestly for anybody, is to find some time to clarify for yourself what is actually most important, but then also putting time in your schedule to really just be able to strategize and think through things and make decisions.
Yeah.
But I
I
also
think
think,
a lot of times,
go
I
ahead.
think people get stuck like working in their business instead of working on their business. Those are two very
Yes.
different things, like you're saying. So,
Two
yeah.
very different things. And when you're working in your business all the time, sometimes you feel like you don't have any time to work on your business. But what I would say is just whether it be setting an hour a week. I mean, you can start very small and very, minutely, not only just
Yeah.
taking time for you for that, but also taking time for yourself. So like I often think like if you're lacking energy in your business, it is trying to think about, well, what re-energizes you, and what boundaries do you need to create to protect your energy. So I'll be honest, as the business has grown, I've had to be a lot more considerate of my time and energy. I've had to say no to things that I would used to say yes to things. I've had
Mhm.
to prioritize things like, and so I think you have to be able to learn to say no to some things, and you have to learn how to figure out what is re-energizing for you. So for me, one of the things I do is in the morning I had to prioritize my health, and it is going to a workout class every morning. So I might, well, today I didn't go, so just if y'all work out at the gym with me, but I had to come talk to Hannah this morning, okay? But you do those things where you set yourself up knowing what you need. So everybody is different
Yeah.
in what they need. So it may be regular exercise. I feel like that's a lifesaver for an entrepreneur, is getting in daily movement before you just hit the grind. But it might be time for prayer or reflection. It may be spending time in your hobbies, like whatever it is, finding stuff to re-energize you. But if expectations seem too much, I mean, and this goes for entrepreneurs or anybody, is to practice compassion, self compassion. Like, what would I say to another business owner in this situation or
Yeah.
entrepreneur in this situation?
Yeah.
If everything feels urgent, because it can oftentimes for an entrepreneur feel urgent, just assess what's most important. Like, there's stuff that has to get done today, but there's stuff that can wait. You might really want to implement that thing, but sometimes it's taking that long view. Does that thing actually have to be implemented today? So really
Yeah.
clarifying what's important. And then I think also another short-term strategy is seeking help and support. I think the people that are the leaders of the world typically are the last people to ask for help. Okay. Not
Mhm.
always, but very often. And so, making sure that you are getting support from not only people that love you and care about you, but people that understand what the challenges are of being an entrepreneur or business owner. And I would say one other short-term strategy for managing overwhelm, because this is another struggle for entrepreneurs, is celebrating your successes. I mean, I can
Mm,
think about people that have been in business for 10 years and they might be in the thick of it because this thing going on right now is not going well. But I'm like, do you know that there's only 35% of businesses that make it to 10 years? Like, so let's
yeah.
celebrate the fact that you've made it this far, or even 5 years or 3 years. Like the statistics go down the further along the years go.
Yeah.
But like celebrate what's actually got you here and also acknowledge yourself for your stickability, like so I think celebrating those wins and also acknowledging what you've overcame also kind of can maybe help you realize that okay, I've gotten through this before, I'm going to get through this again. I just need to give myself some grace and space, do the things that re-energize me and get some support when I need to be able to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love all of that. And I think all of these things too can like really benefit someone who isn't even an entrepreneur. Like even if you are,
Anybody.
yeah, if you're a leader in general or you're just out here going to your daily grind, going to your job, right? I think like moving your body, like I personally have, I don't know, I'm like, what was I doing before? For some reason, whenever I found out I was pregnant, that was like, I was like, I need to start like doing things. Like, I'm like, what have I been
Yeah.
doing? I've been a couch potato. I haven't really been taking care of myself. Like, I want to be the mom who, like, it's important for me to, if my daughter is in, third grade and she's like, we're running a 5K for something, I want to be able to run the 5K with her, right? I'm like, okay, she's 1 years old right now. But anyway, like, I'm like, that's really important to me. I need to start moving my body. And so every day I like really hold sacred my lunch hour because I would before I would just work through the lunch hour. Like I was just like, whatever,
Mhm.
I'll work through the lunch hour and then I'll stay until 6 p.m. and it's fine. Like I enjoy my job. I care deeply about my clients. Like I'm just gonna keep going, 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 going. Now I'm like, no, I really need to take care of myself. I really need to prioritize my lunch hour so that I can go to the gym because it doesn't make sense for me to go after work because I get minimal time with my little one because I mean, thank the Lord she goes to bed at 7 p.m. But
Yeah.
I'm like, and sleeps through the night. But I'm like, I want to really be able to have that time to be able to spend with her. So during my work hours, I'm working, right? But during my lunch
Yeah.
hour, I'm working out. And then when I'm off work, I want to be able to be off work. And so when you're talking about boundaries, when you're talking about moving your body, I'm like, I can really relate to that. Even not being an entrepreneur, but even like boundaries and time. And I loved everything that you said at the beginning of, you know, defining what's actually important and really honing in on what your true goal is for the quarter or for the
Yes.
business, but even for yourself personally. Like being able to kind of take a step back and view yourself through the lens of not just being an entrepreneur and a business owner and the person that has to carry all the things and do everything, that that is crucial. Like what is your goal for your life? What kind of parent do you want to
Yeah.
be? What kind of person do you want to be? Thinking about
What
yourself
kind of partner
outside
do you want to
outside of the
be?
business.
Yeah, relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think all that is very important. And I think a lot of times we'll put ourselves on the back burner. And honestly, I want to challenge some of that thinking because honestly, for business leaders, like you said, whether you're in a leadership role or even in your daily life, especially for entrepreneurs, if you are the leader of your business and you're still operating as CEO and you are still doing all the things, like you are actually the thing that helps steer the ship. And I think about the analogy of a ship. And if the ship's rudder is not working, then you're not going to be able to go anywhere. So, yeah, you still need people to
Yeah.
row. You still need people to help put down the sails. And listen, I'm not a nautical expert. Okay.
Yeah.
But you still need all of that. Right. But if the
Yeah.
ship is not being steered, then it's not going to go where you want it to go. And so you have to prioritize taking care of you as actually the thing that is going to help your business thrive. Because when I've found people that are mentally healthy, they prioritize their physical health and they are taking care of the things that re-energizes them, they show up as better bosses. They show up as better, family members, whether it's wife, husband, daughter, whoever, like
Yeah.
parent. They show up, but sometimes it seems very counterproductive to take time to take care of you. Like you're like,
Yeah.
I ain't got time for that. That falls on the back burner, especially when entrepreneurs are very stressed out. And so just as you're talking, I'm just continuing to think about this is the reason. And I'm talking to myself when I say this as well. Like this is the
Yeah.
important thing. Sometimes you may think, okay, it's counterproductive to take that vacation. But now if you go take a vacation and you come back re-energized, you're able to help your team navigate a lot more challenges a lot better. And so I think it's just even more of a call to action to say, what do I need to do to prioritize the things that are most important to me? And I think about this book by Bronnie Ware. I don't know if you ever have read it, Hannah. It's called The Five
Mm.
Regrets of the Dying. But one of the
Ooh,
things she
no.
says, yeah, she was a home hospice nurse, and honestly, I haven't read the book. I've just read The Five Regrets. Okay, so but the one of the regrets she said is that when people get to the end of their life, nobody ever says. She said, I sat with these people in their final days, and everybody said that I regret that I worked as much. Like I wish I was there for more of my friendships. That I
Mm.
took time for more of the things that mattered. I wish I was more honest. But one of it was that nobody ever gets in their life and says, I wish I would have worked more. And so even if you love what you do, and because there is an upside of middle to entrepreneurship that I've loved. I mean, I get to be creative. I get to create things that it can be super fun. It can be super rewarding. I find a lot of joy in I don't know, for my team. I really feel very
Yeah.
supportive and love that aspect of leading a team and being able to train and develop and empower and inspire and all those things.
Yeah.
But I think that you have to be able to say, like, okay, for me to be able to show up fully, I have to take care of me. And that is actually just as important as getting a task done or working on this business goal or whatever that is.
Yeah. I love that. Y'all, today we have covered a whole gamut of things. And I hope that as you're watching this, whether you've been sticking with us through the entire live show today or you're catching the replay, I really hope that this message really resonates with you. I thought Christy, perfect person to come on here because not only is she an expert in mental health and counseling, but she also has been walking the walk, talking the talk, doing the things as far as her journey in entrepreneurship. So, Christy, thank you again for really diving into the challenges that entrepreneurs are facing, whether it be, just the overwhelm and stress and those different buckets we talked about, financial, the burden of having a team, maybe not having that community of supportive people around you to help kind of guide you, but then also really teaching us some of those long and short-term strategies. And I feel like the biggest takeaway here today has been you have to take care of yourself as an entrepreneur. I know there's like this old adage of like, you can't pour from an empty cup, but it is so true. Whether you are a leader and an entrepreneur, like you have to prioritize and make time for yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to steer that ship, right? You're not going to be heading in the right direction. And so thank you again for your time today and all of your wisdom in this area. I know it's going to help so many people, hopefully getting them back on the right track and steering their ship in the right direction. But before we go, I want to ask you, what is one thing that you are looking forward to this year, whether it's in your business or for your life personally? What's one thing you're looking forward to?
Yeah. Well, and look, before I answer that question, I do want to say one thing, Hannah. I would say don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Like, even for
Yeah.
myself, I'm a therapist and I have my own therapist. Okay. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
because this is challenging. So don't be afraid to seek professional support. But one thing that I'm looking forward to this year, actually, I'm looking forward to it because it's at the end of this week. I'm actually going on vacation. And so there's a lot of things I'm looking forward to in the business and stuff, but there is a vacation I'm finally taking and I'm due for one. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
excited right now in the immediate future. But I'm also excited, Hannah. One other thing is that because we do support group practice owners, me and my other friend in this business, we're actually doing our first conference this year that actually
Oh,
brings
amazing.
like-minded group practice owners for therapy group practices together and helps them work through those challenges that they experience together from different perspectives all across the country. So I'm excited about that too, because I think that offers a lot of value. But I'm also excited about Be Inspired. We're continuing to grow and add more therapists to our
Yeah.
team to serve our community better. And so I'm really excited that we're continuing to able to expand to be able to help more people along this journey called life that we just never know what's going to happen next.
Nope. Every day is a new day, right? New
Yeah.
opportunities, new challenges every day. Well, I love that. Where are you going on vacation? Where's your vacation
So
going?
I'm going Dominican Republic. I'm gonna go to the island, girl. I need some. I'm very pale. I need some sun. Okay, that's what I need.
Well, I love that. I hope that is filled with so much relaxation and beach time and sunshine for you. That sounds absolutely amazing right now. I would love to go to the Dominican Republic as well.
Come on, girl. I'll
Well,
pack you
cool.
in my suitcase. Okay.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about this conference though, too, real quick.
Yeah, and so well, it's called the Collab Lab. It is going to be in St. Louis, Missouri, at the end of October, and really, it's for group
Amazing.
therapy practice owners who really just want to be able to get some feedback on their business. We have some industry specific experts and the things that all business owners sometimes need, whether it be marketing or finance or leadership, team culture. And
Yeah.
then they have an opportunity to work in cohorts to get to implement, and then also get support from other group practice owners on ideas, how to implement that in their practice. And so, really, it's kind of what we're talking about, that community piece. And I
Yeah.
really encourage people, wherever industry you're in, or if you even get one that's getting that piece for entrepreneurship journey, I think is vital, and it can help you grow your business a lot quicker. You also just learn from other people, and I love learning
Yeah.
from other people. I love people learning from my mistakes, and I
Yeah.
love I love to learn what other people have done, the good and maybe things that they wish they would have known before they did them. So
Yeah. Love that. Well, if that is open to the public, I would love to get the link to that and
oh
share
yeah,
that
absolutely.
with our folks and listeners here today. Christy, thank you again. And thank you to all of you tuning in, like I said, live or catching the replay. It has been so much fun sitting here learning from Christy. We can't wait to catch y'all next week for another edition of Ugly Mug Marketing Coffee Chats. Bye, everyone.
Bye.